We're only inviting celebrities here. You're just in the way. Go home. My mill, Catherine, dismissed me with a wave of her hand, as if shooing away something dirty. Today's event is indeed a wedding swarming with celebrities. I knew the reason so many famous people are here, and so should have Catherine. But it seemed like Catherine, always prone to assumptions, had completely misunderstood the nature of this wedding. She arrived late to the wedding venue and walked into the waiting room where we were all waiting for the ceremony to begin. Everyone in the room looked shocked at her appearance. Despite being the mother of the groom, Catherine was dressed in an excessively flashy dress and wore way too much makeup. She stood out like a sore thumb, and not in a good way. It's not like any regular wedding would have the mother of the groom looking like this. Catherine has always been oblivious to social cues and tends to offend people, but this time it seemed like she realized the extent of her mistake. She had always dreamed of being a celebrity but became notorious instead, for all the wrong reasons. Now, she was left with nothing but regrets. My name is Nancy. My husband, Tim, and I were high school classmates and even participated in the same after-school activities. So we've spent a lot of time together, which also led to me interacting with his family. Tim has always been smart and is currently a college professor. Quite a respectable job. His work has even been featured on TV, making him somewhat of a local celebrity. I'm proud to be married to him, but he also has a brother he's proud of. His brother, Aaron, is good-looking with a great physique. While not exactly a big-time celebrity, he works as an actor. Whenever we see him in movies or commercials, both Tim and I swell with pride. Aaron is still single, but he's got a great personality and plenty of friends, so it was clear from the get-go that he's a catch. Their mother, Catherine, is a bit of an oddball. She's always been very conscious of other people's opinions and constantly compares her sons to other kids. Tim has always felt burdened by her high expectations. On top of that, her worldview often clashes with everyone else's, leading to frequent misunderstandings. All things considered, Catherine, with her condescending attitude towards others, isn't well liked in the neighborhood. I too have been inconvenienced by her troublesome values. She originally wanted to become a celebrity herself, but instead, her two sons became famous. And that's her pride and joy, especially bragging about raising two celebrities, claiming it as her top achievement. I've heard this story countless times from her. I truly wish she would have toned it down for our wedding, and I still feel that way. During the ceremony, she kept boasting about her successful sons from beginning to end. So, by the time the wedding was over, no one wanted to be near my bothersome Catherine, and I remember her standing all alone. She seems oblivious to it, but for us, her family, it was embarrassing, and I regret inviting her. And it seems Catherine wasn't thrilled that her pride and joy, Tim, married me. Every time we meet, she throws shade, saying, "Why on earth could someone as plain and unremarkable as you marry my precious Tim? He could have done much better." Clearly, Tim has no eye for women. That's why I've always tried to avoid meeting Catherine as much as possible. However, once our daughter was born, Catherine started coming over to our house frequently, saying it was for our daughter's education. Each time she visited, she'd bring an assortment of educational toys and materials that she'd ordered without consulting us. There were just too many items, and she would insist on making our daughter play with them. So naturally, our daughter never warmed up to her. Even Tim told his mom to stop interfering so much with our daughter, but she wouldn't listen, insisting it was for the child's benefit. We'd been saying no repeatedly, and finally, my daughter openly showed her disapproval, which stopped Catherine from bringing random stuff over. At first, Catherine seemed a bit shocked, but her intrusive behavior didn't end there. Next, She went ahead and submitted pictures of my daughter for child actor auditions without our permission. My daughter had zero interest in that sort of thing and obviously never went to any of the auditions Catherine signed her up for. But Catherine persisted, continually saying, "This kid is going to Hollywood," and kept applying to various auditions. If only she had stopped there. But no. Taking matters into her own hands, Catherine started cold calling various child talent agencies. Word about her started spreading within the industry, and eventually, even Tim heard about it. Catherine became infamous in a bad way, and I heard she got quite an earful from some agencies where she was too pushy. We even got a call at Tim's place asking us to get rid of this nuisance called Catherine. Reluctantly, Tim went to pick her up, and instead of thanking him, she went on and on about how it's all because that woman Catherine is too plain. That's why the kid isn't turning out great. Fed up with Catherine acting on her own whims, Tim finally told her, "Just stop coming to our house." And from then on, he started ignoring her calls and messages. One day, I got a message from Aaron, whom I hadn't heard from in 5 years. To my surprise, the message was about Aaron getting married. He met the woman back when he was a struggling aspiring actor, and they hit it off during a recent dinner meetup. So they decided to tie the knot. That's what I heard. But it turns out it was just a setup. I wondered what setup meant. But it was actually a mock wedding for an event, not a real marriage. Although a bit disappointed, both Tim and I were happy to hear from Aaron, whom we rarely get to see due to his busy schedule. Aaron has been like a brother to me for years. He's also been popular among my female friends and me, so even if it's a staged event, we're looking forward to his wedding. Turns out, this wedding is actually for a filmed event that incorporates acting. Still, formal invitations were sent out, and both of us are eagerly awaiting the day. On the wedding day, we had heard it was going to be a star-studded, extravagant event, but it exceeded even our expectations. Though it was just for a performance, being surrounded by so many celebrities made me feel out of place, and I became tense and withdrawn. Tim, on the other hand, is often featured in TV interviews and magazines, so he was greeted by many people he knew. I felt proud that Tim was my husband. As we were taking a breather in the green room, Catherine arrived, running late, but everyone in the room was stunned when they saw Catherine walk in. She had showed up in an outfit that seemed entirely inappropriate for a wedding. Her flashy attire and heavily layered makeup made it look like she was wearing special effects makeup. The other guests were clearly taken aback by Catherine's eccentric appearance. Some were even chuckling and taking photos, but Catherine seemed undeterred, even enjoying the attention. But for us, she's family, and it was embarrassing to be associated with her. To make matters worse, Catherine started going around and introducing herself to all the celebrities she spotted. "Thank you for coming today. I'm Catherine, the groom's mother. What a joyous day it is. I hope you'll continue to support my son in the future." The one who seemed joyous was Catherine. I thought her behavior would only cause trouble for Aaron, so I discreetly approached her and softly warned her, "Catherine, could you please stop? This is embarrassing for me." But Catherine glared at me like she wanted to eat me alive. "Today is Aaron's important wedding day. Plus, we've only invited celebrities. You're just in the way. Go home." Now the guest list was being managed by the staff, so it's not like Catherine had anything to do with who was invited. I guess Aaron saw this coming. He had told me he didn't send an invite to his mom, but somehow she found out. Already looking down on me, Catherine quickly downed her welcome drink and said, "I am the mother of a son who can pull off such a lavish wedding. I must properly greet the celebrities." And off she went to make her rounds again. Tim tried to stop Catherine as well, but she misunderstood something and grinned ear to ear. "You're fine here. You're famous and my son after all. But as for you, Nancy, you don't belong here. Please leave." she said, shooing me away like I was a stray dog. There was no reasoning with Catherine, who continued to behave arrogantly and selfishly. Neither Tim nor I could get through to her, concerned as we were about not causing a scene for Aaron. Thinking it would harm Tim's reputation, potentially affecting future work, I decided we should leave. Well, no choice but to go, I guess. Seems like we're just in the way. Seems so. Tim looked at Catherine with a face of disbelief, then turned his back. Why are you leaving, Tim? Today is the highlight of your big brother's life. Even Catherine seemed worried at the prospect of her brother leaving during the wedding ceremony. She tried to forcibly grab Tim's arm to pull him back, but Tim brushed her off. At this point, Catherine's behavior had completely cornered us, leaving us no alternatives. Had she not been there, we would have enjoyed the event and stayed through the reception. We genuinely regret missing out on an event for Aaron, whom we respect. We stepped out and were catching our breath at a nearby coffee shop, considering reaching out to Aaron, when a member of the event staff hurriedly approached us. Excuse me, can you please help? You're related to Mrs. Williams, right? We're really in a bind. Can you do something? The out-of-breath event staff began to explain the situation, looking pale as a ghost. We were shocked and disappointed to hear about Catherine's behavior at the venue. After we left, a confused Catherine had caused havoc, turning the dressing room into a war zone. The whole mess was a misunderstanding on Catherine's part. The photography crew, who were frustrated with her over-the-top actions, clarified that the wedding was just a staged event for photos. Thinking she would understand, they were surprised when Catherine shouted, "I was never told about this. You've deceived me. I'll sue." Fortunately, the event organizer stepped in to calm her down. Catherine usually changes her tune when she's around famous or important people. Thanks to the intervention, they were able to temporarily calm her down. But the problem didn't end there. The organizer mistakenly thought Catherine was an extra called-in for the event. To make matters worse, he criticized her flashy dress and heavy makeup in front of an audience filled with celebrities. Realizing she was the odd one out, a humiliated Catherine downed the nearest alcoholic drink and got drunk. I didn't know this wedding was a sham. I'd been deceived. Not only was Catherine laughed at and pointed at for her inappropriate attire and drunkenness, but pictures and videos were also taken of her. Checking on our phones, we found that embarrassing photos and videos of Catherine had already been posted on social media. Not wanting to cause Aaron more trouble, we hurried back to the venue. As we approached, we heard Catherine's yelling from the dressing room. When we opened the door, we found Catherine, her luxurious dress torn and makeup smeared, causing a scene. She was waving around a beer bottle, making it impossible for anyone to approach her. A drunk Catherine is wreaking havoc in the green room, destroying the equipment one by one. I'd never seen Catherine drink before, but now I understand why her brothers Tim and co. never let her drink. She turns wild, leaving the green room. An intoxicated Catherine continued her rampage and headed straight for the reception hall. In the reception hall, Aaron was busy taking photos with the bride for the shoot. Aaron. Spotting Aaron, Catherine tried to hug him, but sensing danger, Aaron skillfully dodged the lunging Catherine. As a result, Catherine lost her momentum and tumbled into a table, scattering the adorable decorations all around. Staff members at the scene managed to restrain Catherine, who then promptly fell asleep. Though we finally managed to calm Catherine down, someone else had posted the whole ordeal on social media, further spreading her embarrassing behavior. When Catherine woke up, she found herself back in the same green room she had been rampaging in. My spouse and I couldn't carry her by ourselves, so the venue staff helped us move her back. Once she sobered up and realized the state of her attire and makeup, Catherine turned beach red and shrunk in embarrassment. Feeling sorry for her, I handed her a wet towel, only to be met with an irrational glare and the words, "This is your fault. Mom, you really messed up this time. This job was really important to me. How could you do this? That's why I didn't invite you." I'd never seen Erin this angry before. Catherine not only caused trouble for everyone around her, she ruined her pride and joy since crucial project. A simple scolding wouldn't suffice for forgiveness. Yet, Catherine showed no signs of remorse, glaring at me as if she had done nothing wrong. Why shouldn't I be here? I'm your mother. Besides, if Nancy can be here, why can't I? Having a boring and good-for-nothing woman like her around isn't troublesome. How could she say that after causing so much havoc? I could only sigh at Catherine's self-centered remarks. After her sons berated her multiple times for her behavior and today's fiasco, she seemed to show a little bit of remorse. When Tim and his brothers left the green room with worn-out faces, Catherine looked around and feigned innocence, saying, "Did something happen?" At that moment, the staff cleaning the wrecked room collectively glared at Catherine. Feeling we couldn't stay any longer, I took Catherine and headed for the exit. Tim and his brothers helped us, supporting a still wobbly Catherine, but we couldn't leave without further incidents. Passing by the reception area, where staff were cleaning up, Catherine said another inappropriate comment. "Seems like you folks have your hands full." Even then, she was met with a unified glare from all the present staff members. One of them looked at Catherine and seemed to remember something, then checked their smartphone. Pointing at Catherine, they stopped us and said, "Excuse me, isn't she the band lady?" Curious onlookers began to gather around us. Curious, I asked the person who pointed out Catherine, "Don't you know her? She's infamous in the industry. She's banned from multiple agencies, yet she keeps showing up, causing trouble." The person then showed us a photo on their smartphone. The photo displayed Catherine surrounded by adults at the entrance of a child actor agency. Turns out, Catherine was well known in the industry, but for all the wrong reasons. Not only had she aggressively marketed my daughter as a child actor, but she had also caused so much trouble that she'd been involved with the police. Upon seeing the photo, Catherine's face turned beet red, and she froze on the spot. Just then, the event organizer, who had calmed down the rowdy Catherine, appeared and handed her a stack of papers. What Catherine received was an invoice summarizing the damages she had caused. The charges against Catherine included the cost of damaged equipment, venue rental, breach of contract for a planned promotion, and even payments to participants. The total was staggering. Feeling that further association could harm us too, Tim and I quickly left the scene. Erin also said he couldn't deal with her anymore and angrily left. Left alone, Catherine was captured in photos and videos by passersby, and her embarrassing moments were widely shared on social media. The sum of the damages claimed in the invoice handed to Catherine was far beyond imagination. Obviously, there was no way Catherine could afford to pay such a hefty sum. Catherine ended up using all her savings, still fell short, and ultimately had to sell her house. Now homeless and struggling, Catherine moved to a cheap apartment nearby. However, videos of her ruining a wedding had gone viral, making it unbearable for her when people pointed and laughed at her. So she moved far away. Becoming a hot topic online, Catherine became widely known as a disruptive nuisance, not just in the industry but to the general public. Her bad reputation spread like wildfire, and her dream of becoming famous came true in the worst possible way. Having cut off all contact with Catherine after she ruined the wedding, we moved to a neighboring town, fearing she might show up unannounced. 2 years later, we received great news from Erin. Erin sent us a wedding invitation, and this time, he was genuinely getting married. The couple met at the very venue where Catherine had caused a scene. He helped a female staff member with cleaning up, which led to a 2-year relationship. And now they were getting married. Of course, Catherine was nowhere to be seen at this wedding. We were genuinely happy to see a satisfied Aaron. We hope for a happier future for Aaron, who had a tough life so far. And our daughter, thanks to Catherine's negative example, has grown into a considerate and kind person.